What's happening, guys? I can't find any type of excitement. I can't find a way to just be positive about what happened last night. Phillies, Mets, game one, weekend set. We talked about this, how this is the final series of the season, of the regular season, to the New York Mets. And I don't want to be that type of baseball fan that's going to overreact over one game because realistically speaking, despite what happened on Friday night, the Phillies have an opportunity still to win this series. Crazy as it sounds. But to start off the series in the way that you did, bats were just completely flat. You give Aaron Nola yet again no run support to absolutely work with. Now, he didn't have the best start ever, but it was still salvageable. And if he would have had some offense that could have backed him up a little bit, it could have been a different story. And I just don't understand how the Mets have this type of mental hold on the Phillies. Quite literally, the way the kids talk, the way the Mets fans talk about us, the Mets literally are rent free in our heads, and more so the players' heads. And I don't know what that is. I flat out do not know what it is when it comes to the Mets and the Phillies this year. The Phillies look like a team that just, when they go out there to play against the Mets, they already feel defeated. They already know that the Mets are going to win this game. And that is what you see from the demeanor, the energy from this baseball team when they go up against the Mets. And that is a problem. But I can't pinpoint why that is. Like, yes, the Mets have had big wins over us throughout the year. And maybe, just maybe, the worst loss of the year, which came early on in the year to those Mets in South Philly, where the Mets came back. What was it? We were up 7-0 in the ninth inning, and they come back all the way to tie it and then win it in the extras. Ever since that game, maybe that really put a mental strain on the Phillies. But I can't pinpoint it. But I'll be quite honest with you, it's quite literally unacceptable. When I look at this baseball team, and the Phillies are obviously still missing some pieces, I don't think the Phillies are that far off from the Mets for them to be winning this much. What is it, like 4 wins so far against the Mets this year? We have yet to win a series against the Mets. We have yet to even split a series against the Mets. I think we only played one 4 game set, but this is embarrassing. This is your main rival. Now, I didn't grow up in the 90s where the Cowboys were the Cowboys winning Super Bowls, and I don't know what that's like. But the thought process of seeing the Cowboys being a dominant football team sounds terrible. I wasn't much of a Union fan during the 2010s when the Red Bull kept killing the Union, so I don't know, I didn't really feel that too much. I think the last time I really felt that was 2018. Bradley Wright Phillips gets an unwarranted penalty kick and gets that win for the Red Bull. I've grown. I mean, I've lived through the Celtics beating the Sixers a couple times in the playoffs, but nothing crazy, nothing like the '80s, nothing like the '70s. I mean, Flyers and Penguins have kind of gone back and forth throughout history, but you guys get my point. Like, I've never in my lifetime have really gone through something like this and what I've gone through this year. A team that I despise having this such a mental hold on my team. And it sucks. It really sucks because we hate the New York Mets. And it is tough to think about this as a fan. And tonight really, or Friday night really tested the part of me as a fan and part of me as someone who covers this baseball team. Because I'll be quite honest with you, after the seventh inning, I turned this off. I couldn't watch the last 2 innings because, you know what, I just knew the Phillies were not going to come back. There was no way they were going to come back. And I was right. And unfortunately, I was right. Oh, man, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Phillies Game Recap. I do appreciate everyone checking on in. I know it's definitely a tough one to talk about here, but we have to talk about it. I really contemplated whether I should even cover this series this weekend, but I thought to myself, listen, it is one game, and we can't think about it like the NFL fans that sometimes watch the sport. It is one game. Things can change throughout the weekend, but yeah, I don't really have much hope for it, considering what the Phillies have been doing so far against this Mets this year. But Real quick before we dive deeper into this game, make sure you guys hit the like button. That would really mean the world to me. And if you have not already, make sure you guys are subscribed. We do talk Philly sports all the time, so make sure you guys are subscribed to the damn channel. All right, guys. Stay hydrated. Nice cold water. It's great. I need that after last night's Phillies and Mets game. All right, so we're gonna pick this up in the bottom of the third inning where the Mets were already not playing it. And here's the thing as well. They just got done playing a really tough series against the Atlanta Braves, right? And so you're thinking to yourself, they cannot be coming in with too much energy, and they lost the last game. They lost the series to the Atlanta Braves. So you got the Mets in the right spot. And they start off this game, single by Nimmo, a line out by Marte, a single by Francisco Lindor, two men on. Who else but Pete Alonso, the absolute Philly killer himself, gets a fielder's choice. Alec Boehm gets the ball at third base, throws this uncharacteristic low chopping ball to Gene Segura at second base, trying to work the double play, and this ball just sails right past Gene Segura. Are you kidding me? Early on in the fucking ball game, fourth batter in, and you already got an error. And Alec Boehm, it's so hard to kill because of what he's been going through, and he's proved so much. Like, it was literally against those same Mets where he says, I fucking hate this place. And then he has that field an error. And just like that, the Mets are on the board. It's a 1-0 baseball game. You go to the bottom of the first. It's a 1-2-3. It's like, it never ends. It never ends. And then just to make the insult to injury, top of the third, the Nets continue their tear. Double by Marte. Two batters later with two outs, Pete Alonso hits a home run. A grand freaking, well, not a grand salami, but a grand home freaking run. And it's a 3-0 ball game. Next up, Daniel Vogelbach with his big ass. He has a minuscule swing, and it's a double. A boop double. Right after that, Jeff McNeil. He brings in Daniel Vogelbach. It's 4-0 Mets. And I'm thinking to myself at this point, I'm like, how is it that this happens every single time to the New York Mets? And I've lost hope at that point. But fourth inning, I've lost hope that we're going to win this ball game. The Mets tack on one more in the top of the fifth. The Phillies do respond a little bit in the bottom of the fifth, where you had Vierling and Bradley Zimmer, which we'll talk about Mr. Zimmer in a little bit. They are on base. Bradley Zimmer, in his second at-bat, as a Phil, gets a double, so kudos to Bradley. Kyle Schwarber comes up to bat. A line drive to right field. He freaking murdered that bad boy. It was good to see Schwarber getting kind of back in the groove of things. Obviously coming back from his injury with his calf. It was a good his first RBI since coming back. Brings in Matty V and Bradley Zimmer into home, and now it's a 5-2 baseball game. And I'm like, okay, all right, well, show us a little bit more. All right, it's 2 outs. He's still got some batters on. It's no outs. Still got some batters on. Confuse the innings. And then right after that, Rhys Hoskins forces out. Same thing with Alec Boehm. JT does get a single, and then would you know that with with one on, Nick Castellanos flies out. We'll talk about Nick Castellanos. Well, don't worry, we'll talk about Nick Castellanos here. The Mets tack on two more in the top of the seventh, and that would pretty much do it here for the Philadelphia Phillies, as they would fall yet again to the New York Mets 7-2. Where do we begin? Because quite honestly, we didn't even talk about Aaron Nola as he got the start on the mound. And I didn't think that Aaron Nola was terrible. Could he have done better? Of course, but he did not get much help from his defense. The Mets got the best of him on a couple pitches, but the thing is that, you look at his numbers, 5 innings, right? He throws 104 pitches, which, holy Christmas. 8 hits he allows, 5 earned, but he did have 9 strikeouts. That's pretty damn good numbers right off the bat there. It was high pitch count. Obviously, it really sucks seeing the Mets kind of get 8 hits on him. Essentially 8 hits on him, and so it's just unfortunate because again, Aaron Nola does not get run support. And I just feel like this performance would have been different if Aaron Nola would have gotten a little bit of run support. Because again, I don't think that performance was terrible. There was a couple of instances where the Mets got the best of him, but overall, I did not think that this was a terrible outing for Aaron Nola. And again, the bats who have been really inconsistent for now almost 2 weeks now, again continue being inconsistent. We talked about it after the Reds series finale, where they lose 1-0 in extras, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, this is what you want to go through getting into the Mets series. But then they get the day off, and I'm like wondering to myself right now, like, is the day off actually conducive for the Phillies? Because it typically seems like when the Phillies do go on a day off, when they come back, they seem flatter than before. And it seemed like it again here today. Like, what do they do on that day off? Like, I really want to know, what do they do on that day off that they seem flat coming out of it? Like, that should be a time for you to rejuvenate, get that body right. You know, they played a lot of games. They played like 11, 12 days in a row before having that day off. And yet they still can't get it together, man. They still came out flat as all can be. And it's, we could throw that Reds loss under the rug, even though some people were still freaking out because it's the terrible Reds. But this one, like, come on, man. Like, how many times are you going to put us through this? And look, Chris Bassett is a solid pitcher. That was a really solid pickup for the New York Mets. But he's not unstoppable. He's just not. Come on, man. I mean, even his 7 hits he allowed, he had 2 earned, 4 strikeouts. Like, that's not good, great. It's not good. That's not like unstoppable type of stuff. Now, the good news is that this is probably the best pitcher you're going to be facing off against in this series against the Mets. Because obviously we talked about it. Trevor Williams, David Peterson going up on the mound here today in the doubleheader. And then Sunday's more likely to be a bullpen game. So you do catch a break in the rest of the series. But still, like, I don't even care about that. How many times is this shit going to happen to the New York Mets? Let's look at the bats. Schwarber 2 for 5. Hoskins 0 for 5. In this situation, you go 0 for 5, Reese. But it is good to see Kyle Schwarber getting back, and this is his first game fully back since the injury to the calf last week, and he had 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs. So that was really good. He did strike out twice, but that's when Kyle Schwarber needs to get back in a groove. He's definitely going to be striking out quite a bit. We've seen this before. Alec Boehm went 0 for 4. Again, where was you at? You had JT Realmuto being the most productive bat on the night. He was 3 for 4 here today. Nick Castellanos was 1 for 4. Nick Castellanos. Let's move to the bottom of the 7th inning here. Nick Castellanos, man on first and second. With the game on the line, a 7-2 baseball game, give me something. This is an opportunity right there. 2 outs, man on first and second. At least get on base. Do something. Continue that inning. That situation pissed me the hell off. In 3 pitches, he flies out. Someone brought up, I think it was on 97.5, someone brought up the biggest free agent bust in Philly sports history. And obviously people threw out Nnamdi Asomugha, they threw out Andrew Bynum out there, they threw out those type of dudes, Al Horford. And someone threw out Nick Castellanos. And I'm thinking to myself, it's still early. Let's at least finish the season. But I mean, ladies and gentlemen, we're literally about 2 months away, less than 2 months away from the end of this baseball season, and this man has yet to turn it on. He's stepped up once out of 100 and what some games. One time this man has stepped up in that Atlanta Braves game. In a primo spot right here. When are you going to step up? When are we going to be able to rely on you in a crucial situation? Like, it's quite honestly freaking ridiculous. he this would have been a perfect spot for him to step up. I'm just not even expecting anymore. I don't think he's gonna do it. He is what he is. He may figure it out next year, but this year can't rely on Nick Castellanos. Bryce Stott 1 for 4, Gene Segura 1 for 3, Matty V 0 for 3, and Bradley Zimmer, who we claimed off of waivers from the Toronto Blue Jays. This is a guy with with a lot of experience playing out in the field. His best days were with the Cleveland Guardians, which back then obviously were the Indians. And this is a guy who's not much of a bat, but has a little bit of a glove. And obviously you need a major league outfielder out there with the injury to Brandon Marsh. I'm blanking on Mr. Marsh's name. I do apologize, Mr. Marsh. But you can't keep relying on Nick Maton, a non-outfielder, out there as one of your corner outfields. But they'll probably rotate it in again. But you got a professional outfielder here. But this was tough, man. This was tough. And then you look at the Mets. Lindor's going 3 for 5. Starling Marte 2 for 5. Freaking Pete Alonso 2 for 5. Pete Alonso is literally the Phillies killer. Quite literally the Phillies killer. He just knows how to. He either finds a way to get on base and then just runs the bases really well. He runs the bases really well for a big guy. I will say that. Or he's just smashing baseballs out of CBP. And he is so comfortable playing in CBP. It's like his second home. This really sucks. This truly and honestly sucks. I hate the New York Mets. 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 And we cannot beat them. For whatever reason this is, we cannot beat them. You honestly cannot tell me that this is just a situation where the Mets are just better than us. I'm sorry, but I can't believe that. Like, the Phillies are still a good baseball team. The Phillies have played good baseball teams this year and have looked much better than they have against the Mets. I mean, heck, we have been much more competitive with the Atlanta Braves. I think we have 2 series wins against Atlanta Braves this year. And they have the Mets' number this year. So you cannot sit here and tell me that the Mets are that much better than the Phillies. I straight up think the situation is the Phillies have the Mets have a mental block on the Phils. Like, quite literally, like what the kids say, like, yeah, the Mets live rent-free in the Phillies' head. And I think that's what it is. But I can't pinpoint why that is. And that's what's driving me up a wall. What created this? What started this? Because it's just, like, when you watch the Phillies play the Mets, they have so many uncharacteristic situations. I mean, the defense has been pretty solid. And besides that first game, or the first 2 games last weekend, the defense has been pretty bad against the Mets. And what Keith Hernandez says was right. And you remember that for the first 2 games, but now you forgot it. Come on, man. That's just a killer. And you're making Chris Bassett out here looking like an ace. And here's the thing. If you don't split this series, because despite your offensive woes at the moment, the Mets are going to be putting up David Peterson. They're going to put up Trevor Williams, and they're going to have a bullpen game, which the starter has yet to be announced Sunday. You have to split this series. There's no excuses. And listen, I know that you guys do hate on Bailey Falter, but he can give you at least 3 to 4 innings. And his bullpen hasn't been terrible. And I mean, I'm expecting Noah Syndergaard to start one of these games here today. Hasn't been fully announced, or maybe it has. But I mean, I'll be honest, that Syndergaard starting definitely does concern me a little bit, because I don't know what to expect against his former team. Like, what is he really going to look like against his former baseball team? Wait, what? Wait, what? All right, well, they got according to MLB.com, they have now said that Zach Wheeler is going to go up in the first game here for the Phils against Trevor Williams. And in the second game, you got David Peterson going up against Bailey Falter. So does that mean on Sunday, which I thought Kyle Gibson was starting, Kyle Gibson's still going to start. So they push back Noah Syndergaard. That's very interesting. It's a very interesting development, ladies and gentlemen. we'll see what that means here for the Phillies. Now, obviously, good news is that Bryce Harper, he has had some more extensive batting practice. You saw the clips on NBC Philly. He should be back. He's now placed on the 60-day IL. So that September 1st thought is probably not going to happen now. But Brandon Marshall's on the 10-day IL. So the injury is not as bad as we probably anticipated to be. So the thought process after those 10 days, he should be back with the ball club. But Bryce Harper, we really could use him, man. That's probably one of the. I mean, I think early on in the year, problem with the Mets was obviously Joe Girardi, but I obviously think that right now missing Bryce Harper has really been. We've been finding a way to stay afloat without Bryce Harper, which has been great. But we really do need him, man. When you have that bat in the lineup, it unlocks this lineup. It really does, and so really could use him coming back here. It should be very, very interesting here for the Phillies. But Bradley Phillips, I thought he did pretty solid here today. And I heard a lot of negatives towards him. I guess he's had a lot of mishaps in his career. But we're just expecting a bench piece here. We're not expecting anything from him. And we'll see what he gives to us. So we have some. So we had some comments here. What's up, Tyler? We have Tyler DeMuro, who's new to the channel. What's going on, man? Tyler says the Mets are the Marlins of seasons past. They're in the Phillies' heads. They can't beat them. But the thing is, Tyler, is the Mets are actually a good team. Those Marlins teams were not really that good. And I can't pinpoint what it is, man. I think the thing with the Phillies and the Marlins was the Phillies were just looking down to the Marlins. And I just think in this situation, I really I don't know. I wish I knew, Tyler. I really wish I did know, but it's just so freaking weird, so freaking crazy how this is all turned around. But we'll see what happens, man. You have Wheeler on the mound, which I guess doesn't really mean much because they rocked Zach Wheeler even last weekend. But things do have to change. And we see you right now. We appreciate you right now. So we'll see what happens here in the doubleheader. I'll probably be recording again tomorrow for this one. Tonight we have the Union, of course, Union match against DC United. So we'll be talking about that tonight. But yeah, I had to talk about this one. It was really tough to watch, but we still had to talk about it, ladies and gentlemen. But we'll see what happens. But guys, thank you so much for watching here today. It's really rough. Phillies losing again to the New York Mets. It never ends. 7-2. Back at it here. Starting at 105. Doubleheader with the New York Mets. So we'll see what happens here today. But guys, that's going to do it here for me. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Subscribe for more Philly sports. And until next time, go by El Parcero Philly. Telling you guys, let's go Phils. Talk to you guys soon.